Hi friends, I'm so glad you could join me for another Bible story this Sunday. I heard from some friends that they had some favorite Bible stories that they would like me to share with them on Sundays, and the story they wanted to hear today is David and Goliath. Now, normally I tell you the stories the way I remember them, the way I imagine them, the way I find them in Scripture, but today I'd like to read you the story of David and Goliath, and I want to read it to you from a story Bible called Read, Wonder, Listen. And it's written by Laura Alary, and the pictures are done by a woman named Sheng. And I think she does some amazing pictures. This is her picture of David and Goliath. I love the way Laura Alary tells this story because it makes me feel like I'm right there in the story. She makes it come alive for me. So I want to share with you her version of the story. And at the end, she also gives us a few things to think about, which I think are really helpful. In the days when Saul was king, the people of Israel were at war with the Philistines. The greatest of the Philistine soldiers was Goliath, a giant of a man. His legs were like tree trunks, and his javelin like the mast of a ship. When he came out of his tent and the sun gleamed off his armor, he looked like a statue of some Philistine god, larger than life. Every morning Goliath came out from the Philistine camp and shouted across to the Israelite soldiers, "Come on out! Why are you all huddled together? There's only one of me. Send out your champion and let him fight me. If he wins, we will all be your slaves. But if I win..." Saul and his soldiers shivered. Their teeth chattered and their knees knocked in fear. One morning, as Goliath was howling and bellowing, David arrived. He was delivering lunch to his older brothers. "Who is this big bully?" asked David. "Someone needs to deal with him." "That is Goliath," replied the Israelite soldiers, "the greatest Philistine fighter. Look at him, he's hardly human. Who could win against him?" "I will fight him," said David. When King Saul heard this, he wanted to see David. "How can you fight this giant?" he asked. "He's been a warrior all his life. You're still a boy." "I may be young," argued David, "but I'm quick and brave. When lions and bears have run off with our sheep, I have chased them down and taken lambs right out of their jaws. I'm not afraid of this big bag of wind. God will keep me safe." Saul did what he could to protect David. He even gave him his own royal armor. But David found it hot and heavy. "I'm not used to this," he said. "I need to be myself, free to move." So David stripped off everything but his short robe and walked down to the dry riverbed, chose 5 smooth stones and put them in a leather pouch. Staff in one hand, slingshot in the other, he walked boldly toward the Philistine camp. "Hey, Goliath!" he shouted. When Goliath saw David coming with his shepherd's staff in hand, he shouted, "Are you serious? Do you think I'm a wild dog you can beat back with a stick? Come closer and I'll snap that twig, and snap your bones while I'm at it, and pick my teeth with them." While Goliath raged and swore, David stood still and said calmly, "You come with your sword and spear and strength, but I come in the name of the God of Israel. Everyone watching today will learn that God does not save by the sword or the spear. Real strength does not lie in great size or fancy weapons." Goliath stepped toward David. David took out a single stone, put it in his sling, and hurled it at Goliath. The stone struck the giant man in the forehead. He teetered and crashed forward onto his face, like a tree that's been chopped down. When the Philistines saw that their champion was dead, they ran away. The Israelites cheered themselves hoarse. There was something very satisfying about seeing such a big bully brought down. They felt sure God was celebrating with them. Perhaps God was. But it's worth wondering whether the God who gives life is ever truly happy when life is lost, even Goliath's. That's how Laura tells the story of David and Goliath, and I love that at the end she wonders a little bit, because I like to wonder about stories in the Bible. Sometimes I imagine myself as one of the characters, and I wonder what it felt like to be there. I wonder what it felt like to be David's brothers, or to be Saul, or to be David, or Goliath's mom. And it's fun to imagine what it would feel like to be all these different characters in the story. Some people get nervous if you ask too many questions about the Bible, but I love it. And I think that the Bible is strong enough and just full enough of God's life that it can handle any of the questions that we can throw at it. So I hope you ask more questions about the stories in the Bible. So that was our story of David and Goliath from Laura Alary. And before we go, I'd like to bless you, like I always do. So if you're with someone else, you can take your palm and put it on their shoulder or their arm, or if you're by yourself, you can put it over your chest. May God bless you and keep you. May God's face shine on you and be gracious to you. And may the love of God flow over you and all around you and give you peace. I'll see you again next time.